Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Can you see the screen? Okay. So the question here is, for today, don't you want the money that you already own? And as Asma mentioned, this is a talk about unclaimed property. So the first question is, what is unclaimed property? The answer to that is, this is money that's owned to people like you, people like me, where companies, organizations, and institutions have a reason to issue a refund. And they'll send the money out. Perhaps you overpaid the trash bill. Perhaps you have a credit to your credit card, but you've already closed it. Maybe you left a job but didn't leave a current forwarding address, so that last reimbursement check for travel doesn't make its way to you. Or there's a stock certificate that you forgot that you own, and the company gets sold and they cash out the stock. For all these reasons, the companies try to send the funds to you and they can't. So they send the funds to the state that they last have you as a recorded address. And the state treasurer is required to keep them safe until claimed by you or your heirs, meaning into perpetuity. The state of Alabama just sent out a notice that they are holding $3.5 billion worth of unclaimed property, for example. So this is not going to be a talk, and that's why this is a table topic. I'd like all of you to stop looking at my screen and use your laptop or cell device or desktop to come along with us to collect your $196.42 that you have. And so if you're not participating, it's going to be a very boring talk. Let me just open up the screen here to make sure that all of you look like you're tapping away if I see you. All right, so as you know, each state has a governor and senators and other elected officials. One of these elected officials is the state's treasurer's office. For the state of Illinois, that's Mr. Michael Freerichs. I don't know how to say his name. But if you want to check and see if you have unclaimed property, which you do right now, you're going to be able to do that on the fly. So you're going to type in Illinois Treasurer into your Google search, Bing search, or whatever search tool you use. And conveniently, you'll find unclaimed property. But if not, you can use the link that's provided here, icash.illinoistreasurer.gov. I encourage you all to sign in and look on behalf of somebody, either your own self or your own family, or a relative, or, you know, check Brother Harris if you want to check his. I did this for my uncle and found him some money, and it's kind of become a bit of a hobby. That's why I'd like to share this with all of you. So this is a secure site, what you're going to get to, the treasurer's office. And you know that because it's a government office, of course. It's .gov. It has a lock here. You can type in your information right here, right? Your first and last name, and let's get started. So the less information you put in, the better it is, right? You can start by putting in your last name and press search. The maximum results it shows is 250, and you can scroll through. For example, I put in Syed Hussain, and I get Hussein Syed, I get Syed Hussein, I get Husseini, I get all combinations. And so I could narrow that, or I could just scroll through. And right here, you can see on the left of the screen, I'm assuming all of you are there. Raise your hand if you're not participating, please. Great. Nobody raised their hand. That means you're all participating. That's what I like. Complete engagement during table topics. So you can go here and click display. It normally shows you 20 results at a time, and you have 80 results that you can display at a time. And then you can scroll through the various pages. So I typed in a friend of mine, Galen McGee, and here you see the first result is his name. Now, I don't know if he ever lived at 3400 South Prairie in Chicago, but I know that he lives around 55th now. And I know that, he had 2 children born in the city. So it's quite possible that Lurie Children's owes him under $100 from one of their checking accounts. So I sent him a quick text message and said, hey, you might have property out there. But you see here in the search results there, it shows a lot of McGee's from all over the state: Moline, Elmhurst, Ottawa, etc. Now, this is someone I know that I searched on their name, and lo and behold, it showed some property for them at an address. And as you can see here, there's a variety of properties from different institutions and for different reasons. One is a benefit payout, one is an overpayment of some kind, and another is a dividend. Once you check mark the ones you want to claim, you press the orange button and proceed through the menu. I guess I can open this up because I'm not actually doing it live. Is everybody with me so far? All right. Those of us who are tech savvy, not necessarily under 65, it could be under 95 and still be tech savvy these days. You're just gonna click right through the menus. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna take you to a place where you need to identify your relationship to the claimant, right? For example, I filled one out for my father from some funds that he had 15 years ago, and I had to put in heir as opposed to the owner. And so you'll identify the relationship, and this gives you a description of what the relationship is. And then you'll press file claim again at the bottom of the screen. From there, what it will do is ask you to type in your information so that it can provide you with a claim form. What you're doing so far is you're doing a search to see if there are any matches. Once you match something, then they will send you a proper claim form, and it will give you the amount that's due to you, or due to you if you can prove to yourself that you are who you say you are, and what you need to submit as part of that proof. So you'll enter the information and you'll hit file claim, which is a button that's not visible on the screen right now. You always have to be careful with Zoom because you might end up showing something different than what you intended to show. So I won't, trust me, there's a file button, file claim button right here. And then the system will email a PDF to you, a 3-4 page PDF that will have the details. Quite simply, you're going to need to print this out, fill it out, attach your documentation, and mail it into the treasurer's office. So let's recap before we go on to the next step. When companies can't locate owners of the funds that they're holding, and they need to pay this out, they'll send the money to the treasurer's office for the state that that person was known to be in. And by law, it needs to be held in perpetuity until the owner or the heirs of that property claim it and it's dispersed to them. And when you're filing a claim requesting to receive this money, the state, of course, has a obligation, fiduciary responsibility to confirm that you are the claimant and check your identity and that the funds belong to you. And in order to do that, they need some proofs. They need your name, your previous address, your SOCH, and other things that are probably on documents that you have around the house. But so what if you don't? You shouldn't give up, even if it's for a $5 claim, because you're going to need these documents for something else. Let's look at what you might run into. The most difficult one is proof of a previous address. And your driver's license and your social security card and birth certificate can prove your name, but previous addresses are more difficult to get a hold of. You may have, in your basement, neatly tucked away in 10,000 banker boxes, papers from the day you started paying bills, but hopefully not. Hopefully you've gone all digital, and hopefully you've gone all digital many, many years ago. But if you pull your credit report, that'll usually show you the last decade or two worth of your addresses. And you can send that address page by printing it out as part of your official documentation. The state will accept that. In fact, they'll tell you what they'll accept right on the form that you've printed out that came in your email. Name changes are another source of difficulty, but these can be found on legal documents, marriage, divorce, other type of official governmental documents. And the state also has the ability to confirm identity with state tax databases. So they'll look at your last filed state tax return, things like that. And you can also send those type of documents as proof of social security number and name and relationship and so forth. Larger claims, specifically over $2,000, will need a notary to verify your signature and let the state know that, I witnessed this signing. Notaries are easily found at libraries when they're open, currency exchanges, and other places around. And if you're still stuck trying to figure out how can I prove or provide proof of this information, just call the Treasurer's customer service line. They're there to help you get your money. It's in their best interest, specifically in the elected officials' best interest, to say that I dispersed more money than less. So the other thing is that they're constantly looking for ways to ease the guidelines and still be responsible custodians of the money. So this website, 5 years ago was much more difficult to use and asked for much more information than it does today. And so you might ask, is it worth it, right? And if you look at this person right here, Mr. Manuel Appel, you'll see here that just for this address on Kedvale in Skokie, there are 5 claims, and each one is over $100. We don't know how much each of those is. It could be well over $100. It could be $2,000 each. But just by looking here, we're seeing that this person has at least $600 worth. And if in fact you add up all the other ones, right? Here's another that's under $100, another that's under $100, and so forth. There's a number of funds that are due to this person. And that's for about 10 minutes worth of effort. You go, you click, you hit file claim, you get a PDF within a half hour, you print it out, you attach some documents, and you're all done. Drop it in the mail and hope that Eid comes soon for you this year. Right, so there are 3 benefits from taking these 10 minutes to do the work. Number 1, of course, you receive the funds due to you. And if you don't want them, ICW Toastmasters has an operational budget that's smaller than you would think, and we will help you solve your problem. Number 2, it's going to improve records so that future funds are directed to you. Once you validate your previous addresses, if the state ends up with additional monies that they think might be owed to you, they will send you a direct email, not just put it out there in the database for you to go hunt. I actually got an email about 2 weeks ago that said the state had funds that they thought belonged to me. And so I filled out the form, and lo and behold, I received a check just a couple of days ago. Eid did come a little early. And then it reduces confusion, right? Because a lot of people have similar names, they move around. Your siblings, your previous or next generation may have a similar name. And so this reduces the variability and the confusion that the state will have in trying to process the refund. And really, I mean, we're all, like Hakeem mentioned, having a little bit extra time on our hands. No, it was Yusuf, sorry. Like Yusuf mentioned, we have a little bit extra time on our hands. So are you really that busy that you can't take about 10 minutes to do this? Come on, it's fun, right? And if you really want to be an entrepreneur, you could go and, do a search for somebody like Horace and then say, hey, Horace, I have $100 for you, but I need 10%, right? I mean, I can see a business model here for some entrepreneurial young person.
Sign me up, Aslam.
And so the rationale here, thank you, I see the green. The rationale here is to call this a table topics session is for you to pass it forward, right? When you're sitting in those virtual, gatherings, instead of talking about politics and religion, pull out your phone, smart cast it to the TV there in the house, and share on Zoom with your cousins and your friends and your relatives and neighbors. There are thousands of Muslims in Illinois that have funds that are being held by the state. And of course, there are thousands of people who are not Muslim living in Illinois who also have funds held by the state. And the state wants to disperse this. So don't forget also to search states that you used to live in. And one other fringe benefit is that good paperwork is always valuable. So this helps you get your affairs in order. Even in today's digital world, it's helpful to have your records straight. Any questions? Did anybody find any funds due to them as they were searching?
Yeah, I think found.
A couple of people found some funds.
Oh, good. That's great. Don't forget to give me my fair share. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the Toastmaster. Thank you very much.
I think Brother Assad was going to mention something.
Oh, sorry.
No, I found some funds too.
Fantastic.